For a weekend that started out so great for the Atlanta Braves, it ended in complete disaster on Sunday Night Baseball with a 9-2 loss to the Los Angeles Dodgers. We'll recap everything happening in that series over the weekend. The offense teases us once again. Just make up your mind. What kind of offense do you want to be? We'll discuss all that on today's episode of Locked On Braves. So let's get into it.
You are Locked On Braves, your daily Atlanta Braves podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, and welcome back to Locked On Braves, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your favorite Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I'm your host, Jake Mastriani. You can follow me on social media at Shortstop Ball. Check out the podcast there at LockedOn_Braves. Send in any questions, comments, or feedback that you have for the podcast. If you're new and listening or watching on YouTube, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button of over 11,000 subscribers on YouTube. And if you already have, hit that thumbs up button so others can find us here at Locked On Braves. And it does help out the channel a ton. Whenever you do that and you're listening on the audio version, you leave me a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. On today's episode, we'll talk about the first 3 games in a 4-game series against the Dodgers, a series that started out with so much promise for this Atlanta Braves team, and there's still a chance for it to end well, but just a disastrous game on Sunday night, which we'll obviously talk a lot about. It is a Monday episode. The minor league season is coming to an end. I'll recapping on everything happening at AAA, AA, and the postseason down at High A with Rome. We'll get to all that on today's episode and set you up for Monday's game, where the Braves will be looking to win the series against the Dodgers with Max Fried on the mound. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB to win $50 instantly when you play $5. Well, look, going into this series with the Los Angeles Dodgers, with the way the Braves had been playing and the way they played over that 9-game stretch against teams below 500, I very much said coming in, if you can split this series, I'll feel good about it. Well, they won the first 2 games of this series, so I should feel pretty good about it, right? But you don't after what happened Sunday night, and just a frustrating game, and it's a game when you got a good start out of Charlie Morton like that, and you were going up against what is probably their worst pitcher in Walker Buehler, a guy with an ERA near 6 coming in, feel like you got to win that game. And that's the game that maybe you should win. Again, assuming that you got a good start out of Charlie, and you did. And you don't find a way to win that game. And you had a lead late. Yes, it's a very small lead, a 1-run lead, but you had a lead late, and you weren't able to hold on to it and get the win. And not only that, it's just a way that it ended, where you had second and third, nobody out, can't score. Dodgers come back up the next inning and score a ton of runs, score 7 of them actually, and you lose 9-2. It just feels bad. I think at the end of the day, and hopefully Braves can do this, and they're usually pretty good about doing this, flushing it and going to the next one, but hopefully they can sit back and say, okay, in the grand scheme of things, that's just 1 loss in a 4-game series. You come back out and win Monday, you flush that, come back out and play well Monday, then you still feel really good about what happened in this series. But it felt like you had a chance to go ahead and win this series. And you felt like everything was right there for you to do that, and you just kind of fell flat in the end there. And for me, it all starts with the offense. Look, the starting pitching was great. We'll get into what happened with Raisel Iglesias in the 9th inning on Sunday night. But the starting pitching was fantastic in this series. The job by Spencer Schwellenbach, Chris Sale, Charlie Morton. Again, we'll touch more on that later, but I want to get into the offense first, because what the offense we saw in the first 2 games of this series is the offense we have all been looking for and asking for, especially on Saturday, where they scored 10 runs without hitting a home run. And really in Friday's game, it was really the first half of that game. The offense looked really, really good, and then they kind of went back into their regular 2024 form for a while there, and were able to add one late in the 8th inning. But what you saw in the beginning of the game on Friday and then throughout the game on Saturday, you saw an approach. You saw a game plan. You saw hitters going up there knowing what they wanted to do and dictating the bat rather than letting the pitcher just dictate it and dominate them like we saw in the 8th inning on Sunday night, or at least the second half of that inning. The first 2 batters of that inning were able to reach base. But it was just a completely different style of offense than we have seen, where we saw the Braves making the starting pitcher work. Look, you took Landon Knack out of that game early. He has been their Spencer Schwellenbach, their rookie. Now, like Schwellenbach, he's not necessarily a young guy. I think he's 27. Schwellenbach's 24. But he is a rookie, and he has come up and pitched really well for the Dodgers this year when they desperately need some arms in the rotation. Braves knock him out early. Weren't able to do much after he went out, but they knocked him out early. Jack Flaherty, I talked about coming into the weekend. He may be their game one starter, depending on what happens with Yamamoto here down the stretch. Braves knock him out early, get in that bullpen, and then knock them around against some of their better arms. And it was the types of at-bats that you saw in those games. Those are the types of at-bats that we have been looking for from this offense for so long. There were some at-bats in there where they would go up with that aggressive approach, swing, maybe fall behind 0-2, 1-2, but then you would see them constantly battle back into the at-bat, take some close pitches, foul some close pitches off until they either earned a walk or able to make some solid contact. And it's just, we have not seen that from this offense most of the year. We've seen glimpses just like we have over the weekend. But I think what we saw at the beginning of the game on Friday and what we saw throughout most of the game on Saturday, the best offense I've seen all year. Again, just good at bat after good at bat up and down the order. We have not seen that this year. And we saw it in spurts over the weekend. Now, Sunday, you're facing Walker Buehler, who's been, like I said, the Dodgers' worst pitcher. And you feel like you go into that game with the same type of approach, and you could do the same thing and knock him out early, get into a bullpen that had to be overworked in those first two games, and hopefully add on and continue to just score. But they didn't do that. And that's just a frustrating part. And I get it. Maybe you can't do that every night. And certainly you can't do that every inning. But it was just 1, 2, 3 in the first inning. You get a leadoff walk, good at bat by Matt Olson to start the second inning, and then it's a double play. Then Arcia gets a single, Kelnick gets a walk, and then it's a pop-up. And it's just, they had some opportunities, I guess, in that second and third inning. But then after that, it was really nothing for this team for quite a while. Really, for the rest of the game after that, it was 1, 2, 3. In the fourth inning, you had a leadoff single by Soler in the fifth inning, but then 1, 2, 3 after that, 1, 2, 3 in the sixth inning, and it's just, 1, 2, 3 in the seventh inning. All of a sudden, those good at-bats went away until you got to the bottom of the eighth inning where Ozuna, in a good at-bat, works a walk. Matt Olson gets a double. Another ball in this series. There were several balls in this series that I thought were gone. Now, that one from Olson did get in on him a little bit. But still, off the bat, I thought it was gone. It looked like Matt Olson thought it was gone, the way he kind of stood in the box for just a moment. Either way, it doesn't get out. It goes off the wall, and you got second and third, nobody out. And then the bat-at-bats come back. Bat-at-bat from Travis d'Arnaud, who had a pretty rough weekend coming back from paternity leave. A terrible at-bat from Orlando Arcia, who just continues to look awful in those situations. And then Jared Kelnick just got blown away with 101. He had no chance in the box there. And it's just, why can we not have the consistency at bat for these guys where they look like they're in control? We talked a lot about this on the podcast last week, how there's just not a lot of confidence for these batters right now when they go up in clutch situations. And it's leading to, in spots like that where the pitcher is on the ropes, Michael Kopech is on the ropes. And you got Travis d'Arnaud up and Orlando Arcia up here swinging at pitches at their eyeballs. And I get it. It's 100. It's 101. This is not easy. But it's just, why are we all of a sudden going out of ourselves in the biggest moments of the game and just trying to do too much? And it's just what's this, frustration with this offense all year long. And again, it's there. We saw it. We saw it multiple times in this series. And again, the series isn't over. We saw it multiple times in the first couple of games of this series. We've seen what this offense can do when it goes up there with a game plan. You look for a pitch in a certain spot, you get it early, you swing. If you miss it, okay, then let's battle back and either try to earn a walk, at least make the pitcher work. And you just didn't see that a lot in Sunday's game. And you had Walker Buehler on the ropes. You had him on the ropes in that third inning. You started to see some of those at bats. You got a walk from Harris. You got Soler got helped out by a catcher's interference. You get a walk from Ozuna, a walk from Matt Olson. Travis d'Arnaud, singles on a ball that's able to just get through. And you saw some good at bats there. And you had Walker Buehler on the ropes to where I don't think many people thought he was going to make it past the fourth inning, much less get through 6 innings. But from that point forward, you didn't see that again. You went back to seeing those quick at bats, those early aggressive swings. And look, you can do that. Like, say the leadoff guy wants to come up and do that and go after a pitch like Gio Urshela. It's a 2-pitch at bat to start the 4th inning. If that's the case, the next guy has to make him throw at least 5 pitches, which Whit Merrifield did in that instance. But then you got Michael Harris, who goes up there after that, and he's out on 2 pitches. And that's a pitch that he probably should have crushed, a knuckle curve right down the middle. But it's just, we're not seeing these at-bats come often enough for this Braves team. And it's in there. We saw it over the weekend against some good pitchers. We saw what they're able to do and how they're able to work at bats, to work counts, to make pitchers work. Pitchers have not had to work against them enough this year. We saw this offense be able to do that in spurts over the weekend. That needs to be in every at-bat type of grind. You don't have that power. You don't have the lineup to go up there, sit on a pitch, a swing, 3 A swings up there and hope that you run into one. This lineup, top to bottom, is not built to do that. You need to go up there with the idea that this at-bat, you are going to make the pitcher work. He's going to have to grind to get you out. That's the type of mindset I think this offense needs to have. When they had that mindset this weekend, this offense was really, really good. When they didn't, it's like what we saw in the mid to late innings on Sunday. It's just 3 up, 3 down. Pitchers not even having to sweat out there, and you're letting them off the hook. So you saw some good, you saw some bad. It ended in disaster on Sunday night with not being able to score. 2nd and 3rd, nobody out, and you can't score a single run, a pitcher on the ropes, and you're swinging at pitches all over the place from a guy that was wild. Again, it's just this inconsistency from the offense. They cannot fully put it together, and if that's why they don't make the postseason, that's really going to be a shame that this offense costs this pitching staff, which is really good. It's going to cost them a chance to win a World Series. But we'll talk about the good stuff here next with the pitching staff, where Schwellenbach, Chris Sale, Charlie Morton, they all were really good over the weekend. We'll discuss them here next. First, talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Well, we have something a little different for you right now with the start of football season. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel any time. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to download America's #1 sportsbook. Also, make sure you visit FanDuel.com/playsafe for tools and resources to help you stay in control of the way you play. Again, that's FanDuel.com/lockedon to download America's #1 sportsbook. Thank you for making Locked On Braves your first listen of the day. Make sure you go make your second listen to the Locked On MLB podcast, where solely is recapping everything happening around Major League Baseball, getting you set up for the postseason. Check that out on YouTube, wherever you get your podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It is your team every day. Of course, we got a full week coming for you here at Locked On Braves, so make sure you're subscribed. Later in the week, we'll have our Around the League segment in our mailbag episode, and we've obviously got some good stuff coming for you in between there this week. I want to jump back into what happened over the weekend, though, and look on the positive side, because this pitching staff just continues to be really impressive. And we talk about Whit Merrifield, too, and some of the defensive plays we saw with him. Spencer Schwellenbach on Friday night. I mentioned this earlier. He's not a kid. He's 24. He's not, he's not he's not A.J. Smith-Shawver. He's not even Hurston Waldrop. This is a 24-year-old. In terms of pitching, though, he is a kid. He has not thrown a lot of innings in his life, whether it be college or professionals, and he just continues to impress in the big spot. He has made starts this year against the Orioles, Phillies 3 times, Padres, Mets, Twins, and now the Dodgers. In all of those starts against teams that are going to make the postseason, he didn't allow more than 2 earned runs in any of those starts against any of those opponents. It's just really, really impressive. And again, it's a kid that's gone past the limit of what the Braves wanted him to throw this year. And you're just having to push him right now because he's that good and he's dominating really good teams. So he just continues to impress. Chris Sale, he did his thing on Sunday. Interesting in that one, a lot of people have been talking about the last several starts for Chris Sale. The average fastball velocity has been down. Now, if you watch those starts, you know that he's been able to dial it up when he needs to. But on Saturday, against that Dodgers lineup, average fastball velo was up 1 mile per hour on the year and topped out at 98.4. So you saw the competition raise up a little bit. You saw Chris Sale raise up a little bit, at least in terms of that fastball velocity. We know, again, he's got that dog in him as well. And just fun to see Chris Sale pitch, hopefully heading towards an NL Cy Young. And then Charlie Morton, look, he did his job. He is the guy in the rotation right now that still worries me the most, but past 7 starts now, it's an ERA under 3. He's been really good. He had that 1 inning this time out, and it's always that 1 inning for Charlie Morton where he just loses it for a minute. It scares you. That came in the 5th inning this time against the bottom of the order. Again, it doesn't matter what part of the order he's facing. When he loses it, he just loses it. And he was able to limit the damage there and able to get through the 6th inning as well, turn it over to that bullpen, but unfortunately they weren't able to hold on. Dylan Lee, pitch timer violations, you got to know. You have to know by now. And you saw him every time. He was coming set, taking big, deep breaths. Look, there's nobody on. And twice within a span of like 4 or 5 pitches, he gets a pitch timer violation and does it the second time in a 3-2 count, which gives them a free base runner. Andy Pajes comes up with a hit, and then you got to face Shohei Ohtani. And look, that's the right pitch to make in that call. I'm going to be kind of critical on Travis d'Arnaud here in a second, but that's the right pitch to make in that call to Ohtani, but it has to be off the plate. And it has to be off the plate by a good bit. But still, it's not in a terrible spot. It's just Shohei Ohtani is Shohei Ohtani. And sometimes he's going to do that to you. But Shohei did beat the Braves twice tonight. He drove in the first 2 runs for the Dodgers in that game, including in that crucial spot in the 7th inning after Dylan Lee led on a couple of base runners that had to face Shohei. And then you throw that pitch down and away, which I understand you're going to stay with the lefty-lefty matchup there. The game is on the line. Joe Jimenez is already up. You're bringing him in for the next batter anyway. Joe Jimenez is good against lefties. I kind of want my best on their best in that situation. But again, Dylan Lee had him 0-2. You had him right where you wanted him. You just didn't execute that pitch. And Ohtani, who's a really good player, going to win the MVP, just beat him. Now, what happened to Raisel Iglesias in that 9th inning? I thought we were going to be positive in this segment, but we got to finish on this. Raisel Iglesias' best pitch is his changeup. Now, all of his pitches have been great this year, but there is no question, to my mind at least, that his best pitch is his changeup. It's the pitch he throws the most. Why in the world, in that situation, with the game on the line, do you not call for Raisel Iglesias to throw his best pitch at least once? And I understand, because this is going to seem somewhat hypocritical, because Sean Murphy went with this same game plan against the Phillies, a team that has seen him a lot and had a lot of success against him. He started calling for the fastball. A couple of things there. Those fastballs were up, and I don't know if that is just missing location or where Travis was setting up, but a lot of these fastballs from Iglesias tonight were down. The one to Mookie Betts in particular was just right down the middle. It's just a big mistake pitch. But typically for Iglesias, when he's having success with that fastball, especially the 4-seamer, it's up in the zone because that's where you want it. So you can play off that changeup down and away to lefties or that slider down and away to righties. But those fastballs were down. But I don't understand the thinking. And I would have to hope there was some sort of strategy and logic behind it. Maybe Iglesias just said he didn't have his changeup. He didn't feel it in warmups. I don't know. But to not call a pitcher's best pitch in the biggest spot of the game makes absolutely no sense to me. Just none whatsoever. All he threw were fastballs and a couple of sliders. I mean, he got a good result on a slider. Didn't throw many of those. That one just baffled me. I could not believe that we just continued to see Travis d'Arnaud call fastball after fastball in the biggest spot of the game and no changeups from Raisel Iglesias. And sometimes that's dependent on what hand the batter is. You're typically going to throw that changeup more against lefties, which you had a lefty come up after Mookie and you threw 2 straight fastballs. And again, both of those were down, but he can throw his changeup right on right. It is that good of a changeup, and he's done it before. You can certainly do it, but you look at that Mookie Betts ball, it's a fastball away, off the plate away. It's a fastball right down the middle. Mookie misses that one, and then you call another fastball right down the middle, and Mookie doesn't miss that one because he's an MVP himself. He's not going to miss that pitch 2 times in a row. I just don't understand the pitch selection there. I do not understand it. It just made absolutely no sense to me. And maybe it's just an off night for Iglesias, because then after that, he did hang a slider to Teoscar Hernandez, who hit it out. But just in the biggest spot of the game against the best hitter, the second best hitter in their lineup of 3 really great hitters, why in that Mookie Betts at bat, you don't throw a slider, you don't throw a changeup, you call for 3 straight fastballs, 2 of those Raisel throws right down the middle. And I'm sure that's not where Travis wants him, but that I just don't understand. And look, maybe it doesn't matter because the offense didn't score. And that's, honestly what we have to talk about. And we already talked about, but I just could not, I still can't believe it. You didn't call one single changeup for Raisel Iglesias, who throws a really good changeup. And instead you called for fastballs, and like Iglesias was missing his spots. He was throwing those fastballs right down the middle. Those can't be there. He threw some sliders right down the middle to Teoscar. Those can't be there. And the pitcher has to execute. I just don't understand that pitch selection. We'll end on a good note here because the defense, particularly on Saturday, a couple of plays, Jorge Soler getting that ball in and cutting down Teoscar Hernandez at third. I don't know why Teoscar was running there, but he did. It was a great relay. You go back and watch Witt when he takes that ball from Soler and how he catches it and he's moving to third base all at the same time to make an easy throw. Again, I don't know why Teoscar was running. If he just made a decent throw at all, they were going to get him, and they did. But that is how you teach it, what Whit Merrifield did there. And then the double play they turned early in that game where it was still tied was just a beautiful double play, a beautiful feed by Orlando Arcia, a beautiful turn by Whit Merrifield. He continues to play really good defense over there at second base. So those are some of the highlights on the weekend for me. But again, you won 2 out of 3 on the weekend. The series isn't over. You should feel pretty happy, but just with the way things ended, certainly the Braves lost a lot of momentum in that game. Hopefully the offense can get things back on track on Monday. Max Fried can have a good game and the Braves can win this series and we can just flush that one. But man, it was pretty awful ending to the weekend. All right, next we'll get into our Minors Monday segment. Not a lot happening at the minor league level, so we don't have a lot to touch on, but we'll get into all that here next. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. And you can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. And through the month of September, 1 Caleb Williams passing yard gets you 1 win on PrizePicks every week in September. That's right. Just 1 Caleb Williams passing yard gets you an automatic win every football weekend in September. That's 4 weeks of free wins. PrizePicks is available in more than 30 states across the country, including Georgia and Alabama. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use code LOCKEDONMLB and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. Let's get into our Minors Monday segment. The minor league season coming to an end. A.J. Smith-Shawver, 6 innings, 3 hits, 2 walks, 1 earned on a solo home run, but he has done better with the home runs lately, and 6 strikeouts. Would not be available to pitch on Tuesday when the Braves need a starter, as he pitched on Sunday, but another good outing for him. We'll see what the Braves decide to do with him now. One could probably get 1 start left at Gwinnett. And then I'm interested to see, do the Braves give him a shot in the bullpen? Maybe they give him a shot in the rotation at some point. or is he done for the year after that? Waldrop did not pitch this week. Don't know why, obviously, but keep an eye on that. Next week is the last week at AAA. J.R. Ritchie, 5 innings, 5 hits, 2 walks, 2 earned, 4 strikeouts in Rome in their postseason game. Nacho Alvarez, a good week at the plate, 8 hits and 4 walks. Drew Hackenberg, 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 walk, 2 earned, 7 strikeouts. He and a guy we're going to talk about in a second, I think their stock has gone up the most this year, especially on the pitching side of things. We'll talk again more about that as the season wraps up. Drake Baldwin, 4 for 18 with a triple and a home run and 2 walks this past week. Ed Gwinnett, Brian Anderson was 5 for 16 this past week with 2 doubles and a walk. JP Martinez, a guy we talked about a lot at the beginning of this year, not so much in the second half, but he was 5 for 19 with 3 home runs this past week, 2 walks and 4 stolen bases. A really good home run or power speed threat, has some potential there. Obviously, we saw him a little bit at the big league level, but some good depth to have. We'll see if the Braves are able to keep him around next year. Ian Anderson, 6 innings, 4 hits, 3 walks, 1 earned, 6 strikeouts. I think he's the guy that we're going to see pitch on Tuesday for the Atlanta Braves. He had a good outing this past week. And Bryce Elder, 6 in the third innings, gave up 9 hits, but no walks, only 2 earned runs and 4 strikeouts. At Mississippi, their season is over and their time in Mississippi is over, as the AA team will be moving to Columbus next year. Bryson Horn went 6 for 18 at the plate. Cody Milligan, 5 for 10 in just 4 games with a double and 5 walks, as well as a stolen base. David McCabe, who missed most of the year coming back from Tommy John surgery, went 4 for 17 with a double, a home run, 4 walks, and a stolen base. Brandon Parker had 3 home runs this past week. And then Lucas Braun, this is the other pitcher that I was alluding to. He has seen his stock soar this year. 5 and a third innings, only 1 hit, did walk 4, but no earned runs and 10 strikeouts. In his 2024 season between AA and AAA, Lucas Braun put up a 3.26 ERA, a 1.14 whip, in 143 and 2/3 innings. He struck out 162 batters with a 228 batting average against. Lucas Braun and Drew Hackenberg, I think, are guys we could potentially see make some starts next year at the big league level for the Braves. Those are the next guys who I think are knocking on the door, along with some of those other guys like Hurston Waldrop, AJ Smith-Shawver, who've already been up there, as well as Ian Anderson. So you talk about who's going to get that 5th spot next year. What is the depth going to look like for the Braves rotation? Those are 2 more guys that are going to enter the mix. Possibly Ian Mejia as well, who had an up and down season, had a hot start, kind of cooled off in the middle, but finishes strong with 6 and third innings, 4 hits, 2 walks, no earned, and 5 strikeouts. Down at Rome, they only played 2 games this week. They went 0-2 in the postseason. Drew Compton, though, 3 for 7 in those 2 games with a walk. He had a quietly pretty good 2024 season. He slashed 289, 394, just a 414 slug, but at 808 OPS, 25 doubles, 8 home runs, 60 walks to 80 strikeouts, just 6 stolen bases. You'd hope a guy that doesn't have a ton of power but has the ability to get on base like that would be able to steal a bit more for you, but has not been the case so far for Compton. Again, was a bit up and down, had a couple of really bad months, but was great outside of that. 23-year-old switch hitting outfielder from Georgia Tech. Joe Olsovsky, 3 for 8 with a double in their 2 postseason games. And then Blake Burkhalter, 5 innings, 4 hits, no walks, 1 earned, 4 Ks. Rome had the right starters on the mound in that postseason. Unfortunately, the offense unable to help them out. But Blake Burkhalter, J.R. Ritchie, some solid starts there in the postseason, and then Compton as well with a good showing, but not much else for Rome as their season comes to an end. On Monday, it'll be Max Fried versus Yamamoto on the mound. And it's one more game with the Dodgers before going on the road for 3 at Cincinnati, where the Braves are hoping to get some revenge against the Reds. As for Yamamoto, he went out in mid-June, made his first start back last week on September the 10th. He tossed 4 innings against the Cubs, had 8 strikeouts. Obviously a big strikeout pitcher, something to watch for this Braves team. He only threw 58 pitches. So I would think he's probably going to max out around 75. He's very good, obviously, but you might be getting him at the right time where, he doesn't have the workload right now to go very deep into the game. If you can be patient, if you can have some of those at-bats that we saw on Saturday in the beginning of the game on Friday, you can knock him out of this game early, hopefully get a run or 2 off him, and then get into that bullpen for the Dodgers, who's had to throw a lot of innings in this series. So that is your recipe for the Braves offense. Can they execute it? Who knows? It's day to day with him. As for Max Fried, he had a battle against the Nats his last time out. He did manage to get through 6 innings, but allowed 4 runs on 11 hits. faced the Dodgers in LA back in April, went 7 innings, 4 hits, 3 walks, 4 earned runs, 2 home runs given up. There were at a point in the season where baseballs were not flying out of the yard for some reason in that series in LA. A lot of home runs that were just flying out of the yard for the Dodgers. But Max struck out 7 in that one. So need a strong start from Max Fried. Again, you want to get the taste out of your mouth from what happened on Sunday. Have your starter come out and put up some zeros, give your offense a chance to take the lead in that one, and you'll feel much better. But if he comes out and he struggles again, kind of like he did against the Nationals early on, gives us a bunch of hits, and Dodgers take the lead, I can see them really carrying that momentum into a series split with the Braves. But I still obviously trust Max Fried, and I know he has the ability to go out there and do that, but I do not trust the offense. Even after what was mostly a good weekend, I still don't trust them, and Braves are going to need them if they're going to get into the postseason. That offense has to have more games like we saw on Friday and Saturday if this team is going to get into the postseason. Hopefully that happens on Monday, and the Braves can get that series win. Thank you for making Locked On Braves your first listen of the day. Go make Locked On MLB your second listen of the day. Check that out on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. Make sure you listen to the Braves and Dodgers with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Search Braves. That will do it for this episode of Locked On Braves. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. If you're new, hit that thumbs up button. Follow us on social media at shortstopball, at LockedOn_Braves. Make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast wherever you get your podcast, and we will talk to you next time.